Bill Tillman, great to have you back here on the show.
Good to be here.
You know, there's a lot of information out there, and it's now time to get informed. Why is this idea, this yes vote, this congestion improvement tax, a good thing for Metro Vancouver?
Well, this is a historic opportunity for people to vote for public transit, for transportation improvements that we all know we need. Whether you stand at the bus as a student or a worker down at Commercial and Broadway waiting as Beeline goes by, you're waiting in the rain somewhere, maybe in Surrey, and certainly south of the Fraser needs a lot more service. So we're talking about a 25% increase in bus service, 80% increase in night bus service, 50% C-bus service, 11 new Beeline buses, the LRT in Surrey and Langley, all of these things that we need. And we know we have 1 million people coming to Vancouver in the next 35 years. We cannot have 600,000 more cars on the road and expect to get anywhere. We already have huge traffic congestion. So this is the one chance you get a vote and you say, okay, do I want more transit and transportation? If you vote no, we don't know what will happen. There is no real plan B, but it's going to be a while.
I hear you speaking about the plan, which is good, because a lot of the discussion, Derek, you can slide that mic in there. I think your mic's a little wonky. Trust is the precious commodity in here. And for people to vote yes, how can they be assured that this money that they're paying in taxes will be used effectively given the track record of TransLink?
Well, I think the fact that Jimmy Pattison, the well-known businessman and philanthropist, has been appointed to oversee everything and take a good look at everything is really reassuring.
But how much power will Jimmy Pattison really have in this, should this be yes?
You should see Jimmy Pattison when he gets going. I think Jimmy Pattison will have an enormous impact on this. And, you know, this is really, it's not, you can change TransLink managers, and they've been regularly changed, but you can't decide every day, well, I think now we'll have a vote on transit. This is it. There won't be anything that will happen probably for at least 2 years, provincial election. Then we'll see what the parties say. One of them will be elected. Will they do anything then? So you're talking 4 or 5 years minimum before anything else would happen. So this is the one chance we have to get things going now. And you can fix things like transit. They've had several managers over the years. They've had several structural changes. All of those things have happened before. You can't have another chance to vote for transit.
But why no plan B? I hear what you're saying, and I hear the benefits, but when you outlay something like this, 10 years, $7.5 billion, it's a massive undertaking. Why not have a plan B from the Mayor's Council if people aren't liking this one direction, to speak to what you were just saying about having another option to vote for?
Well, plan B is up to the provincial government, and they're the ones who demanded having this vote, so the mayors aren't really responsible for that part. But the plan B really is less service. There will be cuts to service. That's what's going to have to happen, because there aren't the funding sources. We don't have enough buses. We don't have enough SkyTrain service, all these other things right now. And when you say there's no new funding, then what can happen except a service cut? People say, well, that's fear-mongering. It's just the reality. There's no more money there. If the government wants to put more money in, then they can, but that's up to them, not up to us. This is our chance to have a say.
When you talk about the idea of new funding and the provincial and federal roles that are played here, how can voters be assured that, okay, if they greenlight this 0.5% tax here, there isn't going to be another plebiscite or referendum saying there needs to be more funding to get this infrastructure in place that you speak about?
Well, obviously what's going to happen with the infrastructure, the federal government and the provincial government have to come to the table, as they have with almost every major transportation project, and they're clearly not going to say anything about that until this vote has taken place. But a strong yes vote saying we want transit, we want transportation, we want LRT, we want SkyTrain extension, pretty much guarantees you're going to get that money. On the flip side, the provincial government decides on taxes, whether it's income tax, provincial tax, all these kind of things. So it is up to them, but certainly this is the kind of funding you need to make sure the system works.
What do you say to people that feel they are taxed out with carbon tax, property taxes, another tax added on? Yes, there is the concern of population growth, congestion, overcrowding, but they feel they pay enough when it comes to cost of living here in Metro Vancouver?
Well, I say with another 1 million people coming, for 35 cents a day, you can deal with that, try and reduce traffic congestion. If you drive, you have less cars on the road. If you want to commute or you are a commuter on transit, you get way more commuting possibilities. You're going to shave 20 to 30 minutes off your commute time, which is worth 34 cents to me. And if we don't do anything, we're going to have a worse situation, more pollution. It's not good for our economy. We've got to get people to and from work, getting goods and services moving to the port and on through everywhere else. So it really is fundamental. This for 35 cents a day, I think it's worthwhile. And
the governance of transit is a key question when you talk about funding and getting people to and from work, and people are frustrated. Timing is key with a plebiscite like this. Why not invest the money that's spent on this campaign, the millions of dollars from Mayor's Council that they've raised, into focusing on the governance of TransLink and making TransLink run that much more efficiently?
Well, if you spent $6 or $8 million, you might buy 4 or 5 buses. I mean, it's just not anywhere near the $250 million in this referendum. You've got to spend a lot of money for transit, and
it's an investment in the future. These are some of the investments we're going to make are going to last 10, 20, 30 years. Imagine if we never had an Expo line or a Millennium line. How long would it be before we got those built if we just started now? So you have to plan for the future, and that's what this is doing.
How can this yes vote get trust back, though? I mean, you look at infrastructure, Golden Ears Bridge comes to mind, the tolling on some bridges where people are just avoiding it altogether. What is really the future when it comes to tolls and things of that nature when you're getting in and around Metro Vancouver?
Well, I think mostly what we're talking about is SkyTrain, C-Bus, the bus system, and people are using those in huge numbers. Probably about 418,000 people will be on the transit system today, and they already know that the system is not big enough. It's not meeting the needs of today. So when you talk about 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, and another million people, the only alternative is to drive. It's just not going to work.
If this does not get a yes vote, what is the next step here?
I think the next step is that you have to see what happens with the provincial government in an election in 2017, see what the parties say. If it goes the wrong way, hopefully someone will say we need to do something major, but we are talking about at least a 4 or 5 year delay before we see any real improvements, because without money you can't do it.
Okay, and best resource to find information. I know the mail-in ballots are coming out starting today, but they don't necessarily have all the info with the platforms. What do you suggest for people that are considering voting yes, where to go?
Go to our website, bettertransit.info. You can also go to mayorscouncil.ca and see some stuff there, but ours will certainly link to everything you want to know.
Okay, Bill, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Reed.
Sharing the message behind the yes side. Coming up right after the break, Jordan Bateman from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation will join us and give you his argument for the no side of the transit plebiscite. Stay tuned.